Marlon Moraes versus Cory Sandhagen takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Fight Island 5, Moraes versus Sandhagen. I'm looking forward to this fight so much. I'm so happy this one got made. We need to see this fight right now. And usually this wouldn't really make sense. Cory Sandhagen, coming off loss to Aljamain Sterling, normally doesn't get a jump up the rankings after a loss in the top 5. That seems to never really happen. But Marlon Moraes is in a little bit of a difficult situation right now. He's already beat Aljamain Sterling, so that fight doesn't really make any sense for him. And it seems as though they're going to do Yan versus Sterling for the title, but we'll talk about what happens with the title after this matchup at the end of the video. But still, Marlon Moraes in a little bit of a tricky situation. He beat Aldo rounds 1 and 3, regardless of what you say. He beat Aldo rounds 1 and 3, regardless how many people threw a hissy fit about it. I didn't think it was a robbery. I thought it was a close fight that Moraes could have won, and that's what split decisions are. Marlon Moraes, coming off a win against Jose Aldo, he's beaten other guys in the division as well. He's beaten Rafael Assunção, beaten Jimmy Rivera, beaten Aljamain Sterling, beaten John Dodson. Like, he's beaten really good guys in the division, and Marlon Moraes is at the top for a reason. And if he even wins this fight, he still might be able to finesse that title shot off of Aljamain Sterling. So this is... I understand why he would take this fight against Cory Sandhagen, a guy which normally is not the best opponent. Coming off a loss, dangerous guy style-wise for Moraes. I think that Moraes knows with the timing of this event, with no Yan versus Sterling shot books, if he goes out there and wins, he beat the last guy that Yan beat in Jose Aldo. They'll market that, regardless of what the overall fan base thinks about the judging of that fight. They'll market that they'll market that Marlon Moraes beat Jose Aldo and Yan beat Aldo, and now let's see them face each other. And they were going to do Aljo versus Yan, and Moraes beat Aljo by KO brutally in the first round. Like, they're going to market it that way, and that's a really good title fight to have. And I think Moraes knows if he gets a big win here against Sandhagen, which was the last guy Aljo beat, so that will take a little bit more away from Aljo. Not just the fact that Moraes has beaten him, but now Moraes has beaten a guy that was your claim to a title shot. So how special are you now? That's kind of the claim that it has. But Aljo beat him before, and Aljo... It's going to be hard to beat him as impressively as Aljo did, because Aljo went out there against Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen's last performance, of course, coming off a loss to Aljamain Sterling at UFC 250 Nunes versus Spencer. It was his big moment. Everyone had the fight kind of 50-50, and it was like, does the Sterling wrestling come into play, or does Sandhagen have a little bit of fun on the feet? Because we watched the Assunção fight, and we saw Sterling have a little bit of problems with Assunção, and Cory Sandhagen just marched right through him for 3 rounds. It was a competitive fight, don't get me wrong. Assunção had his moments, but I think everyone saw that fight as kind of 50-50. Even if they picked Sterling, they were like, yeah, but Sandhagen can still win this way. I picked Sandhagen to win, and Aljamain Sterling went out there and dominated him in the first round, rear naked choke. I will say this. You play that fight 10 times, that does not happen 10 times. Okay, it was a very great sequence of events for Aljamain Sterling that presented themselves, and I ultimately feel like it was down to Cory Sandhagen just not being urgent enough and fearing the positions that he was being put in. There's a real effectiveness to being calm in the octagon, but watching that fight back, it seemed like Cory Sandhagen was like, oh, he took my back, I'll just get out of it. Oh, you've got your hands 2-on-1 on me and trying to get my neck for a rear naked choke. Yeah, it's cool. I'll get out of it. You know, like, it didn't seem like the urgency was there. And Aljo is a guy, if he gets those situations on you, he's a dangerous jiu-jitsu artist in the bantamweight division right now. So yeah, that's what happened, and I think Aljamain Sterling would probably win a rematch, don't get me wrong. That performance has made me believe that now Aljo has a much better chance against Sandhagen than I saw the fight before, but still, I'm sure we can agree that fight can maybe go various different ways. Maybe Aljo wins 7 or 6 out of 10 times. But Sandhagen's still dangerous, and I think against Marlon Moraes, he presents a very, very dangerous style. And even though he lost his last fight and Moraes won his last fight, and Moraes has done a little bit more than Sandhagen in terms of resume in the bantamweight division, they still have him as the favourite, and I think that's purely down to the style of Sandhagen. What does Marlon Moraes do very well? He throws a lot of good leg kicks. What does Sandhagen do well? Footwork, switching stances, a lot of movement, keeps his range. It's going to be a problem for Marlon Moraes to get off the leg kicks as effectively as he has done before in his career. And Sandhagen switching stances all the time. You're going to invest all your shots into one leg, and now he's jabbing you 10 times off the other leg. Also, this being a 5-rounder, I think that plays a huge factor in the way that this fight is oddsed up. In the way that this fight is portrayed in the odds, I think the 5 rounds makes sense. For why the odds are the way they are and why Sandhagen is a favourite, because Marlon Moraes has shown signs of slowing down in those later rounds. It seems to always happen. I think he's just so explosive for his own good early, and he doesn't really know how to pace himself. But maybe in a 5-rounder, we'll see him pace himself a little bit more. I just think Sandhagen in those 3rd and 4th rounds is going to start to put the pressure on Marlon Moraes. He'll still be there. And I think he'll end up getting the job done by TKO or submission in the 4th round after Marlon Moraes. Just in the 3rd round, when you have 1 round left. It's a different mindset than when you're in the 3rd round and you know you got 2 more or you still got half the fight left. Like, it's just, there's going to be a different moment in the 3rd at the start where it looks like, okay, this is going to be the changing of the fight. Sandhagen's going to start walking him down a little bit more. Unload him with some combinations. The front kick to the body is going to be huge for Sandhagen because although he doesn't have like a massive reach advantage, let me check right now, 70 inches for Cory Sandhagen and 66.5 inches for Marlon Moraes. Actually, that's a really big reach advantage in the arms, to be honest with you. Cory Sandhagen's got long arms for the bantamweight division. I mean, he is a giant guy for the division. Like, I think he's taller than Sean O'Malley even, or maybe even the same height. Like, he's a rangy guy for the division. 5'11 versus 5'6". And he still has longer arms as well, and 3.5 inches at bantamweight makes a huge difference. Like, maybe not a heavyweight, but bantamweight, you can go a long way with 3.5 inches. Yeah, I like it. It's a good style. It's a really good style matchup for Cory Sandhagen. Not to mention, though, even if I assumed he didn't have too much of a reach advantage, but he does have a bit of it. Even if he didn't have a reach advantage in the arms, the leg reach is going to be huge in this fight, which is why the front kicks will come into effect. I think if he goes to the leg kicks on Moraes, which we've seen Cory Sandhagen do before in his fights. If you can go to the leg kicks on Moraes, maybe it will off-put a little bit of that. You saw Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje sort of try and out leg kick each other early in their fights, and people that seem to kick against Edson Barboza, who's predominantly a kicker and very similar style-wise to Marlon Moraes in terms of doesn't really like going backwards, likes to throw a lot of switch kicks and shots and really kind of fades if you put the pressure on him in those later rounds. Like, they're very similar in that way, and I feel like Cory Sandhagen, if he kicks with him, jabs with him, make sure that Marlon Moraes is always having to work in that 1st round. He's going to eat leg kicks, but he's got the ability to switch stances, kind of regenerate a leg while the other one's ahead. Marlon Moraes can obviously chew through both, and he's very dangerous, but I feel like he'll eventually start to fade. It's a good matchup for Sandhagen, man. He hasn't got much power, but I think the overall volume, and I think that last loss is a real embarrassment, and I think that's why he's turned around so quickly, because even though it's a short notice turnaround after a loss, he kind of took 0 damage whatsoever in that fight. Like, the fight started, he got backed up, there's the cage, and there's the takedown, and oh, the back's taken. Wait, what the hell? 2-on-1. Okay, it's over. The fight's over. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to turn around and really make something happen. I think Cory Sandhagen wins. I also feel like Marlon Moraes, a lot of the stuff that he does so well is the body kicks, the head kicks. Naturally, against a taller opponent, those are going to be harder to hit, especially the switch kick to the head that Marlon Moraes likes so much. I feel like just the massive size and height difference in this fight. I mean, I feel like Marlon Moraes is probably going to be up to Cory Sandhagen's chin with the top of his head here. It's going to be hard to land those switch kicks at the range that Marlon Moraes would like to land them in. Obviously, if you close that distance a bit, you can get it a little bit higher. But I don't know. I just feel like Marlon Moraes is going to have trouble implementing a lot of the techniques that make him very dangerous that other people have to watch out for. And Sandhagen with the front kick, the jab, Elevation Fight Team, all systems go right now. I feel like Sandhagen's going to get it done. I mean, Elevation Fight Team really killing the game right now. Justin Gaethje got a fight coming up. Drew Dober got a fight coming up. You know, like there's dangerous guys in there. Overeem's probably training for another fight right now. One final run Overeem, Curtis Blades in the gym right now. That gym is all systems go. It really is. And I know Marlon Moraes' gym is probably all systems go as well, but he trains at the Armory now, which features such well-known fighters as Edson Barboza on the same card. There you go. Wow, there you go. Identical style. They'd be great training partners for each other, to be honest with you. They both do what each other like, really. Wow, that's a real nice partnership, mate. Sorry, that's just really taking my attention off the fight. That's interesting. Marlon Moraes and Edson Barboza, same card, training. They're probably sparring with each other on a daily basis. That's interesting. Cool. But yeah, Cory Sandhagen, all systems go at Team Elevation. Great training camp right now. And I think he's also got more time to improve on things. And also, something I mentioned in the full card predictions that I do want to mention here. Marlon Moraes has been shown his problems, and it doesn't seem as though he's really fixed them. Like, he's been shown that he has a gas tank issue, but he still really did slow down against Aldo. Like, I feel like his problems that he has are not really technical things. Very good on the feet, very good grappling. We've seen him submit Rafael Assunção in the first round. He's got good stuff. Like, if you present him a chance to engage with you on the ground, he doesn't really go for too many takedowns, but if he gets you to the ground or you slip, he will take advantage of those situations. I just feel as though Sandhagen's too good. But the winner of this fight is going to be in a great spot, though. And that's what we will talk about right now, because Aljamain Sterling could get finessed here really badly, because Aldo, in my opinion, should be fighting Piotr Jan on the main card of UFC 255, I believe it is. Whatever card Figueiredo versus Benavidez is, I believe it's UFC 255. Yes, it is. 255, Figueiredo versus Perez now, sorry. I think I said Benavidez just then. But Figueiredo versus Perez, 255. I think that should be a co-main event now. I like Figueiredo. I'm glad that he got a main event. But I think that Garbrandt made that a main event of a pay-per-view somewhat. And Perez has 10k Instagram followers. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason guys should get fights. Just different than Garbrandt, okay? It's different than Garbrandt a little bit, is Alex Perez. I think it should be bumped down to the co-main. Jan versus Sterling in the main event. But if they still don't come to terms, and one of these guys, not Sandhagen, if Sandhagen wins, Aldo should be praying that Sandhagen wins right now. If Sandhagen wins, Aldo's got the title shot, done deal. If Moraes wins, and this might be the reason, remember, Piotr Jan said he wanted to return in October. When he beat Jose Aldo, that's what he was saying. I want to return in October, November, and they still haven't got a fight signed. Maybe they're holding out to see if Moraes wins to try and make that fight instead. Who knows? But I think if Moraes wins and gets a big finish and then goes on the mic and says, "I'm waiting for the title, man," and then gets it, that would be really sad for Aljamain Sterling. So if I was Aljo, I'd be saying, "I'll do it for free!" I'd just be screaming at them, you know? I'd tell Matt Serra to tell them that I had 3 kids, because that's all Matt Serra fucking talks about, you know? But still, I like it. Good matchup. Looking forward to it. Not really a blockbuster main event, like a Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley, but I like relevant, fun matchups. Listen, they don't have to be huge names. Sandhagen isn't a household name. Marlon Moraes isn't a household name either. They're big names in the fight world, though. It just has to be something with some stuff on the line, some oomph, you know? Like, this is really, the stakes are high in this one. That's what really gets me excited for fights. I'm looking forward to it. Good matchup. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Cory Sandhagen gets the job done by 4th round TKO using and utilizing his front kicks, his jabs, his swishing of stances upon leg kicks, and his footwork to evade the first 2 rounds, put a pace on Marlon Moraes, to eventually fade him down in the 3rd and 4th round. Thank you, goodbye, and like and subscribe. Goodbye. I don't know why I said the last bit in that voice, man. That just happened. But yeah, see you later.